All right, we're back with another installment going through live some of your questions on Instagram from @the_Ranger_Blueprint, utilizing all knowledge in special operations and getting hundreds of guys through all the different special operations selection courses. Let's dive right in. Okay, I'm going to start at the beginning here and pick a couple of the good ones. Planning on joining Regiment, Ranger Regiment. How should I be running? How much should I be running? This is unfortunately the wrong question. It is not a number of miles. We first have to understand where you are. Are you a good runner? Or are you a shitty runner? And then we have to figure out, okay, what is the goal for your specific selection course? And then how do we get there? Most people run way too much. They just run and run and run. They never actually get better because they think just stacking the miles is the goal. That is not the goal. The goal is to become a better runner so that you're not as fatigued during these runs. Typically, I'll have guys running around 3, maybe 4 times a week, probably a lot less mileage than you think, training things like form, then speed, then endurance. And then once you are a really good runner, you can ramp up the mileage if you want to. The thing is, when you go into military training, you're going to be putting on more miles, just more time on your feet. It's going to prepare you for the distance. I ran probably a quarter of the mileage of what most guys did, and I was not a great runner. But it was because I trained myself for the specific test, which was the 5-mile run. That's what you want to be thinking about. 82nd Airborne guys get a bad rep a lot of the time. Wondering what your impression was of them. We are kept pretty separate. I really did not engage with them much at all. It's like the minor leagues versus the major leagues, or maybe even a bigger gap than that. I wanted to do everything in my power to make sure that I did not end up in a regular unit. It is not the same universe. And everybody, if you are here right now, that should be your goal as well. There should be absolutely no backup plan to get into a regular unit. Absolutely none. Okay, here's one. Any advice for guys who are skinny but can pass the RASP, the PT test for special operations? All right, this is for all of them. A lot of you guys think way too much because you compare yourselves to what you see on the internet with these big, jacked operator-looking dudes. You do not need to be that guy. That is only some of the guys. What you don't want to do is just gain excess weight for the reason of gaining weight, because then your performance will go down in everything that you need to be good at, like running and rucking and push-ups and pull-ups and obstacle courses and things like that. Train for performance. If you do this and you eat correctly for performance as well, your weight might naturally go up, and that's great. If you want to put on a bunch of weight and a bunch of muscle, do it later, once you're in the unit, once you know what the requirements are, all of these things. Do not just try to put on a shitload of weight now. Most likely you are fine. Just train for strength. That's also why we utilize a lot of sandbags in the operator level fitness, sort of phase 2 of training that I teach. Is practicing a few swimming evolutions necessary for RASP and SFAS prep? Yes. Know how to swim by land, sea, or air. Special operations units need to be able to do all of them. Just because the previous war was mostly on land doesn't mean the next war necessarily will be. All right. Opinions on energy drinks and caffeine. Don't use them. You're not going to have them when you go into a selection course. So it's like, imagine you're training running with your current body weight, and then when you actually go do the test, I put a 30-pound weight vest on you. Well, you should have been training for the test, which had the vest. So this is the same. Energy drinks and caffeine also just dig you into a deeper hole. It doesn't solve the energy issue. You need to go figure out what your energy issue is. Is it a sleep thing? Is it a breathing and heart rate thing? Is it a diet thing? It's probably one of those first. The other thing is that these things that elevate your heart rate, you're losing gas mileage. You'll have more negative thinking. You'll have less energy for endurance. Don't use them. If you need it, if you feel like you need it later on, fine, but you're training for a test. That test is selection. Selection does not include energy drinks and caffeine. Can you improve your runtime in basic training? Yes, you absolutely can. Learn the right form, learn how to breathe correctly. What helps you break mental boundaries? Wanting to stop, quit, and push through. The biggest thing for you guys at this level is figuring out your reason why. Your reason why going into these units needs to be ridiculously strong. It needs to literally make you mad or something. It needs to stir up an emotional reaction inside of you. If it does not, it is not strong enough, and the stress of selection and the mental and the negative mentality that's going to come from that and all the thought loops, you're going to start questioning other things. And I could hear it from guys. I could hear them say, oh, well, I can go do this. I can just go do that. I don't need to be here. This isn't for me, blah, blah, blah. Those are just thoughts that they were letting manifest in their head. Their why wasn't strong enough. They didn't create a why that was so specific to that unit that that unit was the only answer. That's the key. One of your why has to be ridiculously strong. That's one sort of mental frame that can help you. We teach a ton of different other modalities, like utilizing your breath and your nervous system to change the way that your mental state is. A lot of others, you guys can text me below. We can talk about that, and I can show you how to do everything. As a high school wrestler wanting to go to special operations after graduation, should I stop lifting? Okay. Your body adapts very specifically to a task. If you do a bench press, you get better at bench pressing, not necessarily better at push-ups. The other thing is that these traditional lifting movements, like a squat, teaches you to brace to hold that barbell. But what you don't get at is you don't get good breathing under odd loads and moving around and having the weight unevenly distributed like it would be if you were carrying a boat or a log or a ruck or a human. So you're not training for the task. The first thing is to make sure that you can pass the fitness test. If you're a high school wrestler, you're probably there. You're probably pretty damn close already. The next thing you're lifting, like we have in the blueprint, should be odd object-based training, which with like things like sandbags and farmer's carries, that directly translates to what you're going to be doing in selection with like worms and logs and boats and things like that. I personally believe that the traditional lifting style is a waste of time for the goal of passing special operations selection. Later on, you can modify your training, but you need to train for exactly what you're doing. You don't need a gym, anything like that. You need your body weight, and if you got access, which should, things like sandbags, go for that. I'm going to be a PJ. Is this a good decision? If I put the time and work in to prepare for it, is it a good decision to be a PJ? Well, that's up to you. Is it right for you? I will tell you one thing. If you are a PJ, a pararescue jumper, you are going to be one of the most elite medics, rescue medics on the planet. I would trust most PJs with my kids' lives. So if you want to be one of those guys, if you want to be an absolute savage in all things medical and rescue, then yeah, it's a great decision. It's going to set you up for the rest of your life as well. Did I enjoy team life? Yeah, I did. I mean, not every part of every job is going to be great, right? You're going to have to do some shitty work, but showing up to work every day with your best friends, doing cool shit, jumping out of planes, shooting guns, driving vehicles that don't exist in the civilian world. Yeah, it was overall a good time. But it was hard too. We did a lot of hard work, but that also creates really, really strong bonds. And like a lot of you guys don't have these ridiculously strong bonds. And these are relationships that will carry you throughout the rest of your life. I still talk to my buddies almost every day. Do you recommend taking a peptide for injuries? If so, which? Okay. I have taken peptides for injuries. They have helped. Things like BPC 157. However, I also had surgery. It was to ligaments. Ligaments don't really repair on their own. Most of you guys are probably, like this guy who asked this question is probably looking at this like, hey, I need some sort of shortcut. Well, one, I'd rather you learn how to be injury proof. with things like mobility. I'm going to try to take a look at your recovery. If you're continually getting injured, like for example, if you're getting shin splints, then no, peptides is not the answer. Your running form is the answer. So this peptide should be the last resort. And really, if it's like a ligament tear and things like that, that's not going to grow back on its own. And it's just going to create scar tissue like in that case. But you guys have to remember, at your stage in all of this, you need to become an expert in things like injury prevention, because you're not going to have these crutches when you go. What happens when you're in SFAS or RASP or BUDS and you start getting a knee pain? It's not going to be any peptides there. So you have to figure out, okay, it's my knee. What's everything above the chain, below the chain, around the knee? What can I do for mobility, right? How am I going to figure out what's tight, what's not tight, what's off with my posture, what's off with my running form? How do I fix this? How do I get my knee right again? So the peptide isn't the answer. Utilize it as a tool. If you want to read up on them and get familiar with them, yeah, fantastic. But you have to make everything specific towards the goal. You're not going to have those crutches going into it. So once you've exhausted everything from a mobility and injury prevention standpoint and a form standpoint, then yeah, you might be able to look at things like peptides, but that should not be the first thought. Okay. That looks like it for the good questions that have come in. I will refresh here quickly and see if we have anything else. If you guys like this, let me know. Every once in a while, a really good question will come in and we'll dive deeper on that too. There is a link. Text me below. I will send you for free the 5 mental shifts to special operations success. You guys have to remember that everybody's focused on the physical piece, but it's the mental side that keeps you going. The physical piece just gets you an entry ticket into the course, an entry ticket into RASP and BUDS and whatever. It is not the fittest guys who make it and get selected. If it was, they would just take the top fitness test scores and that would be it. They are looking for trust. Who can they trust in combat? Who can they trust to train and go execute the mission? That's what the goal of special operations selection is. All of that happens in your mind. It has nothing to do with your physical ability. I will show you guys how to be physically fit enough. From there, everything is mental. You will compare yourself to other people, but that does not mean that you are not physically fit enough. There will always be someone fitter than you, bigger than you, stronger than you, faster than you. You must accept that. But you have to know how your mind works. You have to practice and train this every single day. Again, just a lot of you guys are like, oh, like what workout plan do I follow? Remember that every single person, if you show up to RASP, every single one of those guys, or BUDS, every single one of those guys has followed a workout plan. Okay, so why do 80% of them still not make it? It's not the workout plan that's the answer. It's the human. You don't just build a good mindset too by just doing things. It's one way. There are ways that you can train your mind that I've learned over time that are ridiculously powerful, that our guys are recognizing right away, like, whoa, I understand that this is what I needed to be able to pass. What we do here is for the guys that do not want to accept the less than 5% passing rate for special operations selection. This is for the guys who want a 98% chance of passing, because I believe that's possible for almost every single one of you. I'll show you how to do it. So I'll see you on the next video. If you have any other good questions, feel free to leave them here in comments as well. Maybe we'll turn that into another video, but otherwise I will see you guys next time.
Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.